Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Not Too Comic Book. This being a show where we talk about TV shows that are adaptations of comic books. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, Season 1, Episode 9. Great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So when we had the opening of the episode, I was kind of a little confused because people were being a little, especially at the school, we saw some of the guys avoiding Rentaro, but I guess it's like we find out he's apparently been looking scarier than he normally does, because I was thrown off by that, because I was like, well, most of the guys at Chidori would be fine with him, but then I forget, we know how everyone in his class, including his homeroom teacher, feels about him, but we don't know how everyone as a greater whole in Chidori, whether they feel the exact same way. But I mean, who knows? I'd assume everyone at Chidori's fine with him, but he just ended up going in looking extra scary because he's kind of been a little more absent-minded recently. They talked about, his buddies were like, yeah, remember when he was eating something yesterday and he had his chopsticks backwards? He came here wearing, what is essentially their winter, I think, / spring uniform, rather, because it's time for them to transition over to their summer uniforms, but he's wearing, the full uniform, the coat and everything. And it's like, oh yeah, because his mind's been very scattered ever since his outing with Kaoruko last episode. All he can do is think about her, and now he's like, right, I know that she goes into the school literally right beside ours, but now I'm a lot more cognizant of him. What is she doing? Is she talking to Subaru and her other friends? Is she studying? And the thought of her turning and looking in the direction of Chidori kind of caught him off guard, and it's just, he doesn't know what to do with this. He's feeling all these feelings and he doesn't know what to do with them. It's a first for him, and he doesn't know how to really process it. But what kind of takes his mind off it a little bit is that Usami and the others are asking since we're going to hang out, do you want to go? We were wondering, could we go over to your place? Because we started talking and it's right, you're the only one we haven't been to your place yet. And then we're like, but if you don't want to, that's perfectly fine. And Rentaro's is still dealing with when he was younger, people found out his family ran a cake shop. He was like, really? Your family? Oh, that doesn't match you. And he was so dealing with other people's judgments and criticisms, unfounded criticisms about him, making assumptions about who they think he is. And those remarks kind of stuck with him. And, and because of that, he's always kept his distance from people. And now it's him realizing, right, I have kept them at a distance. They must be worried about me. And he's like, no, you guys can come over, be no problem. I just got to ask my parents. And he invites him over. Now they finally find out about the cake shop, which they're like, yo, why don't you tell us sooner? Oh my God, this is so dope. It must be so cool. Not only are you around a cake shop, in fact, you live on top of one. That's so awesome. And he's like, of course. Why was I tripping about this? Of course, these guys were never going to be of course they were never going to judge me like that. Of course, they were going to be perfectly fine with him. And his mom is super happy because for her, it's and I love that she tells the other workers at the shop, they're like, hey, Rentaro brought some friends over. That's super rare. She's like, actually, not rare at all. It's a first. And she's so happy. She's in such a good mood because even he's like, oh, my mom seems like, she's getting along perfectly fine with my friends because she's so excited. It's like, yeah, you take the guys up, we'll prepare some food later. And then obviously get a surprise with Kaoruka and Subaru stopping by as well. Because I get just as much as Rentaro's been thinking about her, I'm sure she's thinking about Rentaro as well. In fact, she brought Subaru because I think twofold. One, she wants to share with her best friend, oh my God, this cake shop's so amazing, we should go here. Two, it also gives me an excuse to go see if Rentaro's home and around, because he most likely will be, because this is his house, of course, so it's an excuse to see him. So it's kind of two birds, one stone type of situation. So Rentaro's mom brings them upstairs. It's oh, let's all kind of eat together. And it's oh, not only is Kaoruko over to your house, it's just kind of at the same time, your best buds are there too. It's just yeah, all your worlds are colliding at once. It's beautiful because obviously they had their hangout in the early parts of last episode, but now it's oh, it's a very even more relaxed because we're at our house, we're eating, I mean, we learned a lot of interesting things about Rentaro. For example, we found out he had an older brother, which I didn't see that coming. We probably saw some of the family photos and I never correlated that, but yeah. And he keeps referencing his parents, even though we don't see his dad or brother around. So I wonder what's up with that. Because I think his brother is older, so his brother might be off at college or something. But we don't ever see his dad, so I'm wondering, is his dad on business trips or whatever. Because I'm like, I wonder if because like they do say like they're in like the customer service industry, so like, and it does seem like it would be like his parents would both run it. So I'm wondering like, is he away on like business ventures and stuff like that? Like, does he have to leave to go like talk to distributors or something like that? Like, because it seems like a local mom and pop shop, but I don't know if they have like a larger well, it might not even just be that. He might have to go talk to distributors of like ingredients that they use for their stuff, like who they like the sailors they get their like stuff they buy in like wholesale and stuff like that. Like maybe that's what that's about. Because I mean I feel like because he does constantly reference his parents plurally, so I'm like, I don't think it's a situation where his parents are divorced. It does seem like they're still together. We just don't see his dad and brother around. And maybe it's just like every time the story's there, it's like we just never see his dad. His mom's there most of the time, but maybe his dad just has to be out like working on other different angles, or maybe he just works somewhere else now and doesn't just work at the shop. I don't know. But his buds were really interested in seeing photos of Rentaro as a kid, and his mom going above and beyond and making this great meal. I mean, we saw it previously when his mom was so happy for him because of his grades, how she made such a big deal out of it. So she's kind of doing like, right, I got a whole bunch of kids to cook for. It's like such a momentous occasion because Rentaro hasn't had friends over ever, because even as a kid, he always struggled to make friends because people kept their distance from him. And we kind of learn a little bit more about that in this instance when Rentaro, because, you know, Usami and them just, specifically was Usami being like, yo, I looked at the pictures, you had black hair back in the day. And I think we did see some flashback images of both him and his mom. I did think it was interesting that it's clear like he dyed his hair, but his mom did too. We kind of get an answer to that this episode. But it's like, would you start piercing your hair? Dyeing your hair and piercing your ear? And he's like, middle school. I think it says specifically like 7th grade. Because it's like, whoa, that long ago? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, it's kind of a dumb reason, but everyone wants to know, including Kaoruko. And so he's like, all right, well, he's like, because I thought, you know, basically it was like, I thought it'd be cool and make me look cool and stuff like that, which you're like, oh, that's actually kind of a cute reason. But there is a bigger deal behind it, because no one ever kept a distance from him. He never really had any friends at elementary school. He kind of retreated within himself. And so like school was never really fun. And so he never was able to kind of enjoy life. Like he wasn't really happy until his mom, dad, him, and his brother all went to like this bakery shop. And at first I was wondering, like, it doesn't look like it is, but I can't tell if it looks like it's the same shop that they currently own. So I don't know if like they ended up buying this place from that guy. That's what I was unclear about, or whether it just happens to look a little similar like theirs. But basically there was a foreigner who came here and who had his own shop. And it, you know, because even Rentaro was like, yeah, I'm around cakes all day, I guess. So like it is a different place, I think. They already had their place and stuff like that. But he's like, yeah, I'm around cakes all day. So like it wasn't that special, but the cakes were the most delicious thing ever. And he saw the chef. Chef had blonde hair and a pierced ear, and like he had so much fun. And so for Rentaro, he associated like, oh, like it was like a physical representation of him trying to change his mindset of like, I wanted to be as happy as him. And he thought like maybe a big change like that could. And so he brought it up to his family thinking they might shoot it down because they are customer service, and me looking with the blonde hair piercing, that might scare away customers. I can see that because I'm sure like if you have tattoos and stuff like that, probably a place like that, if you have a whole bunch of tattoos, your work will probably ask you to maybe cover them up just to be a little more family appealing, you know, to any like, you know, families or customers. But I mean, once again, not even just tattoos, but the whole blonde hair piercings and stuff like that. But but his family, everyone gave the cosign. We even saw his dad and brother smile too. But sadly for Rentaro, it had the opposite effect. I mean, it just made people like pull away from him even further. And, you know, it kind of had the opposite effect. So around that time, he just gave up on trying to have friends and stuff like that. And then Usami's takeaway was, have you changed at all since elementary school? He's like, no, not really, other than the blonde hair and piercing. And he's like, well, then those guys were crazy. He's like, they couldn't see you for being the cool guy that you are. So it's like, you know, I would have easily been friends with you back then. And obviously, you know, you have Kaoruko seconding that by being like, right, I agree with Usami that, I see you for the kind person you are, and I'm very lucky to know you as, the kind person you are. But every time Rintaro looks at her, he gets very bashful, which we even saw his mom take notice of it and kind of smile because she's like, she probably was already catching a little bit of the vibe, but it's like now it's like even more apparent to her. It's like, oh, you definitely like her. And it's like, oh, like not only am my boy happy to bring around friends and has a whole bunch of friends, he's also in love. I think for her that it just all that's happening at once, and you overhear her and see her nearby watching and listening to all of this, and we get a flashback to understanding why she went blonde and pierced ears, because she actually did it before Rintaro, because she knew Rintaro was kind of scared to take that leap. But she remembers when Rintaro came to her, he was like, no one wants to be my friend. So he's like, I'm going to give up. I'm going to give up on everything because what's the point? And for her as a mom, it's like, I couldn't do anything for my boy. But it's like, I'll pave the way forward for him because obviously he's scared to take this leap because of our job and he doesn't want to interfere with that or cause us any burdens. But she's like, Rintaro, out of any of the boys, has asked for the least. He never asked for anything because I think there's some deep-seated, like, thing where he just feels kind of scared and reluctant to, like, as we see even with his friends and people, he's reluctant to like kind of fully rely on people because it's not something he's used to, and almost sadly people have gotten to him in the regards of making him feel like he doesn't deserve anything, sadly, and he kind of believes that on some level, and just because of that he doesn't ask for much. And for her it's like, this is the least I can do for my boy. He never asked for anything, so like this is me giving him something. I want to show him it's okay. Like, I'm going to take this step forward so that he can too. I want my son to take steps towards being okay and being happy, And his dad kind of co-signs it. He's like, okay. He's like, I wonder will Rintaro ever know how thankful you are? Will he ever thank you for what you done? She's like, no. And even if it doesn't, it's fine. Once again, I'm his mom. But for her, it's like, I just hope he meets someone who sees him for being the kind person that he is. And for her, it's like, here's a whole bunch of people who see him for who he really is, sees him the way she sees him. And she comes in, tries to pretend like everything's normal, but I think it's just also like, she's happy, it's just kind of trying to fight back the tears where it's like, you're so proud that your son is where he is, but you're also kind of like, because I think it's like, Rintaro's probably even kept his distance and kind of kept his wall up even with her. So he's probably like, ever since then, like, she sees how he's kind of going about life, how like, and I think it's interfered with his relationship with his family too. So she's like, cool, if you need anything, I'm going to go back to work. But he stops his mom. He's like, Mom, thank you. And for her, she's just like, geez, I must be getting old. She's like, time to get back to work, Like, you could tell she was trying to fight back any, like, tears of pride she had in that moment. And just, like, he is thankful. He does recognize what you do for him. He might not always say it, but it's like, he does love you, and what you do is appreciate. He does appreciate you, And I think after everything, him taking the steps forward, like I said, in so many regards, I think it really meant a lot to him. So I just thought that was beautiful. And then also we got our little post-credit scene where they're around playing games, and I love Saku and Usami. It's like Saku's like, I'm sorry about, no, it was Usami being like, sorry Saku, but because the way they sound, it sounds like they're playing Mario Kart because they reference red shells and stuff. But then I love Yorita kind of brings it back to reality. He's like, you guys were fighting for last place, but Karuko got second place because she's used to playing games like this with her family, which we don't know about her family at all. It makes you wonder, like, no sibling has ever come up conversation-wise, but hell, same thing for Rintaro. We only just finding out that he has a brother he's never really talked about, because even the guys didn't know that. So, I mean, once again, he's been very, like, because he probably never wanted to broach the family subject, because if he did, then we would have been most likely wanting to come to his place, and like, as this whole episode kind of covers, again, like, he has a lot of, like, trepidations about that because of the past. So I'm curious, like, does Karuko have any siblings, or like what her family dynamic is like, what her mom and dad are like and stuff like that. But because it's about to be summer, it's like, oh, do you have any plans? Will you be working at the cake shop? And he's like, well, probably maybe a little bit, but for the most part, I'll be free. They're like, cool. So what do you want to do? He's like, well, the beach, fireworks. Everyone's like, oh man, that'd be dope. Let's do it. Karuko's like, let's do it. Subaru's like, let's do it. But then reality hits when it's like, Subaru's like, yeah, but like, our exams are coming up. And in that moment, Usami and Rintaro, who tend to do the worst grade-wise, both froze and turned to stone, and it's just reality has smacked him in the face. And Superdog was like, I'm so sorry. And Yorita's like, it's okay. Reality would have gotten to them sooner or later. If it wasn't for you, something else would have reminded them that the exams are coming up, and they'd had the same reaction. So Karuko's like, cool, like, how about we all study together? Because Saku doesn't want to be like, it's like that led to an argument and issue last time, but it's like trying to like get anything to stick in Usami's head. And Rintaro's is such an uphill battle, but something stuck and something worked, considering like he made a massive amount of leap in progress because of Karuko, but he's also going to be a little distracted considering how he feels about Karuko now, so it's going to probably make that study session very, very complicated. But I'm excited to see where all of this ends up taking us going forward into the next episode. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.